Well, what we saw across the 16 countries that we studied was that torture reduced in the 30-year period that we studied them, and we are able to say with confidence in those 16 countries that it was torture prevention measures that had that effect. We were asked by APT to look at the question of whether torture prevention work was effective. We have approached that by identifying a number of specific aspects of torture prevention and trying to test in 16 countries over a 30-year period what the impact of those measures has been.
We used the U.S. State Department reports and Amnesty reports what we did was used it in a slightly different way than had been used by political scientists who simply did a content analysis and identified key words to do the scoring. We actually read the content over a period of time. We also went far beyond that. We interviewed experts in the country, we looked at academic reports, we looked at NGO reports and other government kinds of documents in order to assess the degree of torture over time in the country. So we drew from a much broader range of material.
Well, the clearest finding that we have is that detention measures, the practice of how somebody is treated when they are first brought into custody is the most important thing in determining whether they're at risk of torture. The whole issue of impunity does have importance, as I think people believed it did, that when there is a proper investigation and prosecution of torturers, and when torturers can expect to receive penalties that are equivalent to those for ordinary serious violent crimes, then that also has a preventive effect, and monitoring by independent mechanisms of places of detention. What we found was that monitoring clearly has direct effects in reducing torture, but it does something else as well, which is a monitoring mechanism may have an indirect impact because it draws attention to these other things. It draws attention to the need for law reform so that torturers are held accountable, and changes in practice so that people who are brought into custody are better protected. So it helps to prevent torture in that way as well.